Hello, so I have another ID for a Celestials hero, so let's begin. Okay, so this hero over here is called Necrotech, and he is obviously a tech hero. Now, I will say, first of all, I think I kind of messed up the way his face and colors were supposed to look in the drawing, because he looked a bit cooler the way I imagined he would look. So that's my bad, but you can still kind of grasp the concept, I'm pretty sure. So Necrotech over here is basically a robot that uses nuclear energy, and his whole thing is kind of that he uses it to as a measure to decay things and people, obviously. And so he mostly uses Wolverine claws as a weapon, as his weapons that he can pop out of his metal fists at any time. And then he also has like a gamma gun basically. And so the way this works is he can put nuclear energy on his Wolverine claws, for example. And so you'll see in the drawing later on that there's like this green nuclear effect on the claws. And so basically when he would slice someone with this, they would start like decaying on the inside where he cuts them. Which is actually pretty funny because I was inspired, this idea was inspired by a Chernobyl documentary that I watched in school, I think last week, where the people were like decaying that got close to the reactor. And so if you look closely, I'm not sure if you can see it in the time lapse, but if you look closely, he actually has these wheels on his underneath his legs. And I feel like he would be this very fast, like around driving type of character that would just start slicing people. But a thing I hadn't thought about yet was what if he just moves in like this much more, how do you say it, roller skatey type of way. Because with most characters that have like a sword, for example, like Inferno, that would slice you up even as they're running towards you. After they slice you, they would probably like run into a different direction or like dash or something. But I thought this guy has roller skates for his feet. So what if instead he's kind of like this guy that roller skates around and like slices people, and he just keeps going. Like he doesn't like take a moment. He doesn't like yeah. You kind of get the point. He just kind of keeps slicing through people. Which I think is interesting. And then he also has his gamma gun. He would actually have two of them. And he would just be able to shoot these like beams of radiation at people, that when they would get hit by it, it would like start festering a wound in them, and they would start decaying once again on the inside out, which I think is pretty cool. And it would probably have like this greenish effect. And so that's his main attacks, and I'm thinking what else could he do? Some variations of using his powers, because he's basically a very much controlled ticking time bomb, because again he's harnessing nuclear energy. I feel like a cool ability would be if he would be able to sort of, in this almost telekinesis way, he would be able to put his hand up to someone. He would kind of like point his palm towards them, and then he would sort of like channel radiation towards them, and he would do it so much to the point where they would kind of like turn into this messy puddle on the spot, so they would literally just like fall apart. I think that's a really cool idea. I could just imagine this robot, because by the way, he was supposed to look a bit more menacing, but like in a hero type of way, and I didn't got that across on the drawing. So I think it would be cool if he like menacingly stared the villain down and just like pointed his hand towards his face, and just on the spot the villain just started decaying and like turned into a little meat puddle. So I think that's an interesting idea. I also feel like he would be able to do a lot of explosive stuff. So if he would be able to do that in like a room with only bad guys, he would probably be able to like open up his stomach and like something with a core reactor or something popping out, and then he maybe would be able to let out an explosion. But the whole point of the nuclear energy with this guy is that it's controlled, so it's not really gonna go wrong, unlike Chernobyl. And you also see in the time-lapse maybe that there are these nuclear, like, greenish effects on certain parts of his body as well. So maybe he would be able to pull out some kind of gadget out of there as well. You can see his wheels, maybe in the time-lapse you can see it. His wheels also have like a nuclear colored effect to it because they're like powered up. And I'm also thinking since he would probably have gadget hands in the sense that he would be able to maybe pop multiple weapons out of his hands, or just tools, all those kinds of things. You can use your own imagination. And I'm actually kind of curious what you would think he would be able to do. So maybe leave that in the comments. Oh yeah, real quick, go to the link in the description to support me on Patreon. Thanks, man. So now for his backstory, this robot over here is obviously just a robot, but the thing about robots and Celestials is that they don't have souls sometimes. Well, there actually are robots that have souls, but this one doesn't. And so basically this guy is created as a collaboration between Rico, so Weapon Master, one of the members of the main cast, like the tech one, that looks like the cowboy, and then he would collaborate with another hero that I haven't made a video on yet, that specializes in like animatronics and like robots. And together they would make this robot, so Necrotech, and the reason he's called Necrotech is Necro kind of stands for like death, and well, tech, because he has like the tech to decay people on the spot. And basically throughout the Celestials episodes, well, this guy is just a side character, but if you were to see him go with the main cast on a mission or something, the thing is because he's a robot, he's specifically programmed by Rico to kind of have a mind of his own, and he's supposed to resemble like human psychology, so he would act like a normal human in the show. But he would maybe sometimes be a bit less empathic, you know what I mean, feeling bad for villains. Maybe he would do that a bit less because he's a robot. And I feel like he would just follow orders a bit more, but not really in like a brain that kind of way. He would actually be a very smart, strategic hero because he has the brain power to do that. And he would still be like emotionally intelligent. I want to really emphasize, I didn't quite get the look across in the drawing, if you ask me, but he's supposed to be like this really smart robot that is almost like human. And I feel like throughout the series he would kind of struggle with the psychology that he's just a robot and he doesn't have a soul. And at some point, because he's still a hero and he does a lot of good deeds and he still like believes in God, because like I said, he would act like a regular human. And he would actually make a lot of progress in this department. And I feel like eventually at some point he would be like given a soul as a gift from God, which there's actually another character I had planned for that as well. But this guy would only get it later on, and so I feel like eventually he would get a soul and he'd be super happy about it, and he'd start like becoming even more empathic towards other people. And for his design, I'm thinking, well, the design, like I said, isn't perfect in the drawing. I feel like I kind of messed up maybe the colors and the face a little bit. But we'll start maybe from the bottom, so you can see this guy's just fully made out of metal for the most part. And so, first of all, his legs are kind of inspired by Winter Soldier from Marvel. Because when I was playing Marvel Rivals in my free time, I was kind of inspired to make the legs of this robot the same way as a Winter Soldier's arm, because I really noticed that Winter Soldier's arm is like made out of metal. It's like a robotic arm, right? But it looks really like bulky and like fat. Like it kind of looks like, for metal, it doesn't really look how do you say it? It kind of his arm looks